Hello everybody, this is Jeff in Japan, and I had a couple requests to show you my process for making this, which is a Hasbro Hero Series X-Wing fighter. And I removed the stickers and I painted it up and turned it into a Antok Merrick Blue 1. So let's take a look at what I did. I didn't shoot any video while doing this, but I did shoot some pictures because honestly I had my hands full with this project and that was about the best I could do. So I first got the idea for this project because of the TV show Andor, which I absolutely love. I loved Rogue One, and Yavin Base is one of my favorite places in Star Wars. Definitely a top 3. So I decided to try to make a diorama, and you can see here this is like my first attempt. Then I came across a pretty good deal on an Antok Merrick X-Wing fighter, the vintage collection one, which is a really awesome looking toy, but as you can kind of see from the pictures, it is a little underscaled. So I started to get the idea that maybe I would 3D print an X-Wing fighter to put into my case here, my display, with a simple diorama. And the more I looked into it, I started finding out that there was, in fact, a 1/18 scale true to vintage collection figures. The 1/18 scale X-Wing fighter. It's a Hasbro Hero Series fighter. And this is it right here. Okay, so pretty much the first step was to get it out of the box and get it disassembled. It was actually pretty hard to take it apart. The fronts of the thrusters, if that's what you want to call it, they were really hard to get out. In the end, I knew I wasn't going to be using a wing, so I ended up cutting off the attaching area for the wing, stuck my hand through the model, and was able to release the tabs that hold those engine covers on. It was really hard. I heard you can put a screwdriver in through the front, but the plastic's super soft, so just be careful when you do it. That was probably one of the hardest parts of this project. These are 2 photos of what I'm talking about. It's from a little bit later on after I'd painted a little, but you can kind of see the tabs and get an idea of how to take them out. You'll be happy to know I also took revenge on them by cutting the tabs off, and I just have them friction fit now, which is totally fine. They're pretty stable, no issues at all. I can take the model apart whenever I want. So if you're so inclined, you could just cut those tabs off. Okay, so the next big mission was to try to see if I could clear out the window sections here. So what I did was, like many other people recommended, I drilled a couple little holes and I used an X-Acto knife to cut out the windows roughly. Then I used some files, like you can see in this photo right here, to kind of file down the plastic. Now the plastic's very fibrous, so just be careful, take your time. I spent a long time doing this. I also heard that you can use some heat to kind of make it a little more smooth after you've cut. I didn't do that part because I'd already painted by the time I heard that. But this basically gives you an idea, just, if you're going to cut out the windows, just take your time. Okay, so the next step for me was to actually, literally, give it a bath to get off all the oils and residue and all of the little fibrous plastic that was left over. This is all in prep for painting. Okay, so while I was waiting for it to dry, I decided to assemble a test print that I made for the cockpit. This model is made by Nerdmaker. He's got a couple great models, and this I think is a Black Series scale model, and I just scaled it down to 70% and printed a few parts, which I'll mention again later. But this is the cockpit. Basically it fits like this. Looks really, really good. Okay, so now on to one of the most important parts. This is prepping the plastic to be painted, and what I did was I didn't use a filler primer at all. I used what you see here, Tamiya nylon and PP primer. I can get this pretty easy where I live in Japan. I'm not sure if you'll be able to find it in your area, but basically I sprayed the entire X-Wing with this, let it dry overnight, and I actually didn't need a base paint with this. I just used this and then I went right onto painting. Okay, so I don't have anywhere to use an airbrush in Japan, so I tried using the brush on acrylics that you do with a brush, and Boy, that was a total disaster, as you can see from this test photo here. I ended up using spray paint. So I went with Mr. Hobby Mr. Color Spray, which I do believe is available in at least some other countries. They have a lot of colors to choose from, and I went with these colors right here. So number 11, light gall gray, was the hull color. It's a little bit dark, but it looks pretty good for, I think, what I wanted it to be. 13 for some body panels, 39 for the gold color. 72 is a really good color for the stripes and the markings on the wing. And then the other color is for the 115, that's for the cockpit. So basically I just masked off the parts I wanted to paint, and I went to town with the spray paint. I've never done anything like this before, but it came out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how it looks. Of course I used the gloss coat after applying all the paints. I also should mention that I used Mr. Hobby masking solution for the paint chips. You can see I apply a little bit of the masking solution, and then after it all dries, you rub it off with your finger or an eraser, and it made some pretty convincing chipping. Okay, so this is just a couple shots of what it ended up looking like, and this is the first test of the gold paint that I did. It's actually not gold at all, it's a tan color, but for this purpose it worked out pretty well too, I think. Okay, at this point it was time to test fit the cockpit one more time, and I also test fitted some laser cut acrylic. I actually made that file myself, and if anybody needs it I can let you have it. I have one for the side window too, but I don't think I'm going to do the back windows. It's hard to see it, and it's hard to make it fit, so just keep it simple and just make the glass for the front and the side windows. Okay, so we were on to the laser cannons, and I scratch built and 3D printed some parts to finish up the tips. I did a test fit, and as you can see from the photo, they just look a little too big for the wings. So I ended up 3D printing from the same Nerd Maker model I mentioned before, and I ended up painting everything as well. To attach them to the wings, I removed the original clips. As you can see, I just like hacked them out. And then I used Nerd Maker's 3D model here, and I glued it into the wing. I think it worked out pretty good. Okay, so now it was on to applying some decals, or decals. When I was looking at the Vintage Collection Antoc Merrick X-Wing, I noticed that there were tons of stickers and labels all over it, and they look really good. It really makes it look realistic. So I found a seller on Etsy who sells decal set for smaller models. He had a studio scale model too, so I just contacted the seller and asked if he could make a set for 1/18 scale, and now it's in his store. So if you need these, I'll link the Etsy seller down below. There's plenty of good videos about how to apply decals on YouTube, so I won't get into it too much. I did have a lot of trouble doing it. It was my first time ever, and yeah, it was kind of tough for me, but I used the Mr. Hobby Mark Setter and Mark Softer. It worked out pretty well. Okay, after sealing the decals in, it was time to do the weathering. So I wanted to apply a wash. I used some pretty cheap black and brown acrylic mixed with water. There's plenty of videos on YouTube about how to do this. I like the one from Interstellar Modeler a lot. And actually, his video inspired me to do this build somewhat, so thanks to him. In the end, though, I applied the wash and wiped it off a few times, and it just wasn't giving me the grimy look I wanted, so I used the paper towel. The paper towel had a bit of texture to it. I dipped the paper towel in the wash and then kind of dabbed it in certain areas on the model to give it kind of a muddied look. I'll try to see if I can get a good photo of that here for you. Okay, we're getting close to final assembly, so it's time to light the cockpit. And I did this using fiber optic strands. I drilled holes where there were supposed to be holes in the model from Nerd Maker. There are already holes that are there, but I had to drill them a little bit bigger because I scaled the model down to 70%. So I made the holes a bit bigger, ran the fiber optics to it, and lit it using a little USB powered controller with dip switches, so you could control the blinking of the lights. Routed it through the inside of the ship using just some foam and a little bit of light blocking, and yeah, we have a lit up cockpit that has blinking lights. Alright, so here we are. Final assembly's all done, got the landing gears on. Still a little bit of work to do here and there. The diorama is totally work in progress. I have no idea what I want to do with it, but I did make those computers with the lit up screens. Big special thanks to all the people who taught me how to do this. A lot of YouTubers. It was great. So, especially Crafty Padawan. We were working on this at the same time, unbelievable, and his video should be out like any minute now. Also Interstellar Modeler for, you know, showing me that there was a 118 scale X-Wing to even be painted. And then, you know, all the people who did like all the really cool, you know, backgrounds and stuff like that. So I had a really good time. This is my first time doing anything like this. Usually I just, you know, make really simple dioramas, but a lot of getting out of my comfort zone on this. Did everything I didn't want to do except airbrushing. I guess that's next. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. If you did, give me a like. I don't plan on making many more videos, so don't worry about subscribing, but if you want, go ahead. May the Force be with you, and enjoy your Star Wars.